All right, this is REY AZUL SOVEREIGN. Still haven't decided on a name for these recordings. I don't know that they need a name. I feel like that's kind of a internet YouTube-y kind of thing to do. Right? I could call it the Ghost Town Podcast. I could call it the Graveyard Gang Podcast. I could call it, Alienation Podcast. I could call it Aphrodisiac Podcast. Right? I could come up with a lot of different things. One of them that I was kind of thinking about leaning into was RAMFT. Right? Real ass motherfucking talk podcast. Right? It's adult only, no kids. We don't play with children. It's just not what we do. Anyhow, so today I was moving around. I was just doing things in the area in which I reside. Had some things that I wanted to take care of, and those things got taken care of. Then I did some sightseeing, some moving around. It was all great. However, today I noticed a few very interesting things. They're just interesting to me. So maybe they've handed the ball off to another group of people for whatever reason they do that. It's their turn now to try to pester me if that's what they think is going to help them. I mean, the weather gets crazy around here. I don't know that they should be so very fast to disrespect certain people. Especially not the weatherman, but, whatever. Anyway, I was moving around out here today, minding my business. That's normally what I do. I do a lot of minding my own business. I don't really have a reason to deal with other people too terribly often or too much. There's just no reason for it. I deal with the people that I need to deal with when I need to deal with them on I wouldn't say it's a personal level, but on a professional level. There's certain places that I have to go to buy things. There's certain places that I have to be to put gas in the automobile. There are certain places I have to go. There are certain things I have to do, and I do them. Then there's the things that happen around me, and a lot of it, I don't care about most of it. I don't pay attention to a great deal of it because there's no reason for me to do so. Now, were there a reason for me to do so, then I would consider it, but there's really no reason for me to do so. And that could become a problem because then people start to try to do things like right in your face, or they want you to see them doing certain shit. They want you to see them behaving a certain way. They want you to see certain things. And a lot of time, that's for whatever reason. It's either that they're weird or it's personal. It's a personal thing. It's a personal issue. Anyway, then there are the people that believe they're expanding their horizons or they're widening their contacts or whatever it is. That's interesting too. I really don't care about it. It's the thing is that when you live certain places, they've made it to where you have to live in close proximity to almost everyone. Not everyone, but everyone lives in close proximity to other people. Far too close even. And then these places, a lot of them were not designed for what they became. So when they designed this neighborhood that I live in, I'm sure that there was a dominant demographic in this area. When they moved out, when they did better, when they decided to either go up or go down, whichever direction it was that they went, for whatever reason they went those directions, then that particular unit or house or area became available to other people. And then you have those people who invest, right? You have people who are foreign investors You have people who move from, they call it migration, right? They migrate from one area to a whole nother area in order to make money, or in order to, do whatever it is for a better life, or whatever they're going to say that the reason is. And then, it's become a thing where, because black people were so horribly mistreated, right? Because blacks were treated so terribly, you should all understand. You should all be okay with it. Because we have to make room for other people too. Like, and the same as we have to make room for you and include you because you're black. All right, we have to do the same thing for other people, or it's just not fair. It's just not right. All right, it wasn't fair and it wasn't right the whole time. All right, it wasn't fair and it wasn't right when that was happening to black people, obviously. But now you should understand that we're all even. You see what I'm saying? So what you wanted. You wanted for everyone to be even. So you need to accept everything and everyone. Right? And then somehow these people have decided to choose to use multiculturalism, or so multiculturalism and culturalism are not the same thing. Right? I am a multicultural person because I am the result of several ethnicities and several backgrounds, several different cultures. It's like calling someone mixed race or multi-ethnic or whatever you'd say, right? That's multicultural. It's more than one culture, right? And there are multicultural individuals, there are multicultural communities, there are multicultural ideologies, etc., etc. Then there are those that are not that. There are closed societies. There are closed demographics, and there are closed gene pools. Right? So anyway, today was very interesting, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that certain people are angry. I know they are. I know they're upset because of this stuff with Cesar Chavez. All right, their cultural effigy is being disrespected. Right now, who's doing that? Who's tearing down Cesar Chavez statues, and who's tearing down changing the roadways and all this other stuff? Okay, well, on one hand, they'll say it's the government. On the other hand, they will say that it's the UFW, right? The United Farm Workers. Right? That's Dolores Huerta. She's the United Farm Workers. Right? Now, they're supposedly aligned with the Democratic Socialist Party, which is, what it is these groups, these organizations, they tend to be sponsored by a particular political party, or we call them political parties, but we are not speaking towards things correctly. These are not simply political parties, they are political factions. And so, what we have is a kind of quiet war. And because it's a quiet war, so what we're actually dealing with is hostility. And then they try to find ways to include people, right, racially and culturally, the same as they always have, because actually it's a kind of warfare, right? Just not really using guns so very much. Still violence, still aggression, still strategy and tactics, but not just guns. Because, even though drugs and all prostitution and all this other stuff is very, very deeply entwined in the entire collective impact and collective movement or collective design of these political parties, it's kind of the hidden part of things. It doesn't really get discussed so very openly or put into public purview or, the public view as often. However, if you study other countries, if you know how their countries work, and Jamaica is a great example because I've said this before. So they have the People's National Party and they have the Jamaican Labour Party, the JLP and the PNP. And those two political parties were notorious and famous for their dealings with cartels, the same as Mexico has a problem. They have a corruption problem. They have an organized crime problem. They have a cartel problem, right? Because, the Colombians and those people in South America, they no longer control the traffic of narcotics. Mexico does not make certain narcotics, or they can make the narcotics, they can process the narcotics, but they can't grow what they need in order to do what they want to do. So they had to strong arm and muscle, the other countries into accepting certain terms that then allows them to eventually deal with things in a business manner that allows them to control what is taking place. So basically, they bought the cocaine trade. How did they buy the cocaine trade? Well, they shut down, the United States government shut down the water routes and shut down the airplanes. They could no longer fly or float narcotics into the United States in bulk. The only way to do it is through negotiations with Mexico, because Mexico controls the land routes and gives access to those traffickers up until the U.S. border. Once they get to that U.S. border, then that's the problem, right? They have to figure out how to breach that particular border and bring their stuff, whether it's persons, places, not persons, places, right? Persons or things, right? That would have been too simple to say. Persons or things, they have to figure out how they're going to get that contraband across the border. They're also going to have to grease palms. They're going to have to pay politicians and get those politicians to speak favorably of their particular agenda. They're not going to lay their agenda out and say this is what we're trying to do, but they're going to try to find a way to position it and to speak about it as if it is good for everyone and as if it is humanity and humane and just the right thing to do, to lean on your ability to make sure that you are going to be safe. That's very interesting. It's an interesting tactic. So today, right, with Julio Cesar, or not Julio Cesar, but Cesar Chavez, right? Those are different Cesars, Chavez's. They're having a problem, okay? And today, all of a sudden, when I tell you I've seen more Hispanic people, not Hispanic, because a lot of them, they are part Spanish, but they're not Hispanic, they're Mexican. Right? They're not Spanish. They speak Spanish. They're Mexican, right? That's like me saying I'm English because I speak English. No, I'm not English, right? I'm American. I live in the United States of America. All these designations are very confusing, and they make them confusing on purpose so that you cannot, really it was for the government, so that people could not really unify against the government, right? But then it becomes problematic because they know how to water shit down. And not the government, the people who work in government. because the government is just a collective, right? It is a collective body. It is a system. It's an egregore that exists within and without any individual participation at this particular point. However, it was to keep, so the government wanted to make sure that Native Americans didn't, cause any problems within the United States. And, all of this stuff is terrible. It's terrible that these things happened. It's terrible that slavery happened. It's terrible that, Native Americans were, decimated and destroyed the way they were. Culture wars are terrible. They're difficult. They're hard to deal with. But I've noticed that in anything, if something becomes popular, other people are going to want in. They're going to want to participate, especially where there's money. If there's money in it, if there's fame in it, other people are going to show up like this is our version of it. Or we want in on it. We want a piece of it. And that can become a struggle. That can become a fight. So when I hear these cats talking about their eternal struggle, the people's struggle, the struggle of the people, and all this other kind of stuff, it's weird to me. Because your struggle and my struggle ain't the same struggle. So why are we just simply calling it a struggle? In fact, maybe I'm not struggling. Maybe you're struggling. Maybe I'm not bound. Maybe I'm not tied up. So I don't have to struggle. I don't have to fight. But you think you know me better than I know myself. Or you think I should see things the way you see things. Or you think that I should, really what it is you need bodies, you need people. And I'm telling you, I grew up in the middle of a bunch of gangs. So I know exactly how that works. I don't know exactly how certain people will try to fuck with you and cause you problems if you don't give a fuck about them, or if you don't pay attention to them, or if you don't want to be down with them, or people think they can try to muscle in on your stuff, or whatever it is. Like, there's words for all of this stuff. And if you study the mafia, it doesn't have to be the Mexican mafia, it doesn't have to be the Japanese mafia, just the mafia. Organized crime. If you study it, you know how it works. You know how extortion works. You know how predatory dealing works. You know how loan sharking works. And then in this country, unfortunately, a lot of that shit is legal. They act like all of it is illegal. All of it is wrong. That's the conundrum we're experiencing right now. They act like all this stuff is wrong. It's illegal. It's not supposed to happen. There are supposed to be federal protections from it. And then you have these groups that are saying, well, we don't want the federal government. We don't like the federal government. We don't want to deal with the federal government. And part of it is because they've identified that, it's an organization. It sure is. And it can be helpful that presidents can only do what they do for 8 years and must be elected, twice in order to have such a term. However, sometimes that's not the best thing, right? Then, okay, so the president, you guys are, 4 years and 4 more years and 4 more years and all this other shit, right? But then these local politicians sit on city councils and other positions in local government for 25 years, for 30 years. Same person in control of the district, a locale. All right, so what is really happening? If a president is termed out after close to a decade, but a city council person who is a district representative for a locality is able to be in that position for 25 years. So what they'll try to say is, well, I'm not the mayor and I'm not the governor, and those are termed positions. but city councils should not require a term. It's the same as the Justice Department, the Supreme Court. Those people are in those positions for life, for as long as they live. That's very interesting because they're the ones who interpret the law. They're the ones who set the law. It's not the president. That's all weird shit. I mean, you can think that it's the president of the United States making all these decisions. The president of the United States signs a bunch of executive orders and gives fucking decrees, basically, right? But then it's up to the governments, the municipalities and the principalities, right? The localities. It's up to them to enforce those laws and those rules and those regulations. Just because a president goes out there and says a bunch of wild shit doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, that should be obvious by now, by this point. Just because a president goes out there and says this, and this doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. It just means that he's putting pressure on an entire political party to make that shit happen. And he's the leader of that particular group. And he's telling them what to do. Now, it doesn't mean that in your little town, that's what's going to happen. It doesn't mean in your state, that's what's going to happen. Just means that as the federalized head of government, right, as the head of the Confederacy, as the head of the Federation of the Federated States of the United States, of the United Principalities, right? A nation in a state are the same thing. Nation states are states, and they're political states, and we live in a bunch of political states with their own constitutions. And so therefore, I mean, this stuff isn't so terribly, horribly difficult if you know the way it works. I mean, it's common sense after a certain point. So anyway, I was thinking about a few things. I'm gonna try to keep this particular recording short because there's some things that I have to do. But I was considering some stuff, right? Like, they want us all to care about immigration. They want us all to care about illegal immigration. Okay, I don't care about immigration. I don't care about illegal immigrants. I don't care about any of that stuff. And there are reasons for that. First thing, I'm not an illegal immigrant. Second thing, I'm not best friends with no illegal immigrants. I'm just not, right? Even the Spanish or Hispanic people that I deal with, they're here legally. All of them. I'm not good homies with nobody sneaking to no jobs or no shit like that. They all got U.S. paperwork. So, no, I don't care about none of that shit. Right? Then they try to lean into you one way or another. They're like, oh, we're all immigrants. No, I'm not an immigrant. I was born here. My mother was born here. My father was born here. My grandmother was born here. My grandfather was born here. All four of them, of my grandparents, were born here. Right? All four of, of my great-grandparents were born here. All of my great-great-grandparents were born here. The only place we might have some problems is through my grandmother and her father, right? I'm not so sure he was born here, right? But then that would be my grandmother's problem, not mine. I mean, and my great-grandmother got pregnant by that man. So, I mean, what does that have to do with me? I'm not an immigrant. Right? And then all of the rest of my family members, all of them, right? From right here for hundreds of years. So that isn't my problem. That isn't my struggle. That isn't my fight. Now, the wages that workers are paid here, right? That's a different story. That's not an illegal immigrant issue. So labor wages, and that's the problem that people have here. They like to try to combine issues, right? To make it seem like this thing and that thing were the same thing, but they're not. They're different. They're different problems. They're different issues. So worker wages, that's one thing. And illegal immigration, that's another thing. People overstaying their visas is part of illegal immigration. So that's why they're trying to combine that shit. Because some people don't sneak into this country. They have us all thinking that illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, illegal transplants, people who did not arrive to this nation legally. They're trying to say that they did get here legally because they came here on a worker visa. Then they try to say, well, while they were here, they had children here, right? So automatically there's a problem. That part of the system is broken. You can't stop people from coming to the United States and having children. Now, what Donald Trump tried to fix was an extreme loophole in immigration policy. He tried to make it to where you cannot have birthright citizenship. Now, some of these weird blacks try to say, oh, that's going to include us because of the Dred Scott case and because of the Loving case and because of this thing and because of that thing. And really, them motherfuckers are just shimmying and shammying the way they normally do, right? That particular group of political blacks, right? There's a specific political group of blacks, and now they're trying to bring anybody in that they could get in because they need numbers, they need people, they need to, when them cameras turn on, they need a big fucking group of people like, yeah, we're standing together, we're like an army and shit, right? We're fighting for this. Okay, but in reality, that shit don't have nothing to do with them, same as it don't have nothing to do with me. Same as it probably doesn't have anything to do with you. Probably. Those people who overstay their visas, that's like a probation violation type shit. So if I violate my probation, who around here is going to come fighting for me and marching for me and holding signs for me to keep me out of jail? Right? I made a deal with the government to not sit in a penitentiary or to not sit in a jail, right? Depending on the weight of the charges, right? I made a deal with the government to not sit in confinement for a crime that maybe I committed it, maybe I didn't commit it, right? But I accepted an agreement. And in that contract, it stated that I have to do this, and this. And if I don't do it, I'm going to jail. I'm getting taken away from my children. I'm getting taken away from my family. I'm not going to be able to reproduce. I'm going to have to eat a bunch of jail, fucking prison slop. These people are going to get paid to hold me, right? And you know what? A lot of them people who work in them jails as guards and shit like that, especially in California, those people were Mexican. Those people were Hispanic. The majority of them. As I was growing up. Right? So soon as I got involved with crime and started getting arrested and earning my stripes and proving my nuts and all that other kind of shit. Oh yes, I definitely was being lorded over by Hispanics. They had the key to my motherfucking cell. They gave me my mail, right? And then some of them, right, they're the people right there with you. So you have to watch them because it could pop off. Same thing with the blacks, same thing with the whites. I mean, it's all fucked up. I don't trust one group of people any more than I trust another group of people. I just don't. I don't trust groups of people. I don't have a reason to do any of that sort of shit. So why the fuck would I? Anyhow, those people that overstay their fucking visas, that's their problem. That ain't my problem. You could kick, you can scream, you could cry, you could fall on the ground with tears in your eyes. You can do all that different shit, right? But that's between you, that agreement you made, and the government, not me. That they enforce that shit on you, or that they don't enforce it on you. I mean, that really, where am I involved in that? If they're aggressive with me, if they'll come to me, if they'll sit outside of my house and watch me and watch my friends while we're shooting dice or doing whatever it is that we're doing, and then arrest us for it, jack us up, go in our pockets, then they'll try to say, well, we should be together. We should be, because they shouldn't do that to you. And because they shouldn't do that to you, well, then also they shouldn't do this to us. And, no, they should do that to you, but they shouldn't do that to me. They shouldn't do that to us. All right, this is our government. You're not being shaken down by your own government. You're being shaken down by the U.S. government, and they're trying to get you out of here for whatever reason. Some of you people are here and your conditions are much worse than they are in your own country. I mean, you're forced into prostitution. You're forced to work for nothing. You're being fucking kidnapped and you're being held in these safe houses when you get here, and you're having to buy your freedom with your vagina or with your labor or whatever. You're going on work crews with these Mexicans who are taking you to wherever they're taking you and making you do what they're making you do. That nigger's weird. That's some weird shit. Anyway, I really don't like it. I really don't deal with it. The shit don't got nothing to do with me. At the end of the day, when I see certain shit, I mean, first thing first, so now I'm looking at this other shit over here because there's this bum who lives near to where I live. Motherfucker want to tell me about how he owns his house and his house costs $40,000 and has been a rat trap. He's fucking a junk collector, right? He's a fucking scrub, right? But I own, right? I should somehow, some way envy him and what he does and what he's doing. Right, when really I don't pay no attention to that motherfucker. At the end of the day, what it's going to boil down to is something going to happen or something's not going to happen. That's it. Right? Anyway, that's besides the point. The point of this discussion and this conversation is I don't let these people in their little group dynamics and their little politics and the way that they want to move around acting like they're together in certain shit or they're not together in certain shit. I don't let that shit bother me. I don't care about it. Because first thing first, I don't give a fuck about their groups. Also, they may not have any idea what I do and how I do it. They don't. I don't see them doing none of what the fuck I make happen or what I do. I don't see them doing any of it. So why would I care about them or what the fuck they do? They can pretend to just be normal people, hardworking people, and that's like everyone, mostly, usually, right? The Chinese, no. The child molesters and the drug dealers and all those other people, them motherfuckers, a lot of them get up and they go to work every day. They need a front. They need a cover. All right, so none of that stuff means anything to me. At the end of the day, I either like you or I don't. At the end of the day, you're either a good person or you're not. You're someone that I would deal with or you're not. That's it. And I don't hold the door for people to go into places where they're not supposed to be. So if I see you trying, so a great example is when I was on, and I've said this before, when I was in East Village in San Diego, I lived in a building that was fucking terrible. And when I would go into the building, there would be homeless people and drug addicts and shit trying to wait for somebody to open the door because it had a fob key. So they'd wait for somebody to open the door, and then they try to bum rush the door as you're going in. Or they try to grab the door as it was closing and follow in behind you to get access to that building. And a few times I snatched that motherfucking door out of them people's hands and told them to back the fuck up. Now, I probably didn't stop them from getting in. I probably didn't stop them from entering that place and doing whatever raggedy shit they were going to do. But I made sure they didn't do it because of me. I made sure they didn't follow into that place and compromise people and their belongings and that particular establishment because I opened the door and they thought they was going to run into the place behind me. That shit ain't happening. I'll cut your arms off. I'll cut your legs off. I'm sure for a fact there are, where I live, there are Native Americans who want to see Hispanics all over the place here because they think those people are going to help them somehow, or they are going to unify with them somehow. Okay. I'm also very sure that there are Native Americans who don't want them here at all. First, there are plenty of Native Americans who their gripe ain't with the English. Their gripe is with the French, and their gripe is with the Spanish. Period. They don't want no motherfuckers speaking Spanish around here. None of that shit. Right? So to try to make it seem like everybody's together and everybody's unified, that's bullshit. Everybody appreciates who they appreciate. Everybody likes who they like. Everybody deals with who they deal with. And the people they don't like, they don't deal with them. And the people they don't appreciate, they don't appreciate them. Unless they have to. Unless it's a business situation where I have to deal with you. Then I'm just doing my job. Then if you don't have the qualifications, if you're not, you don't have what you need to make it through here or to go over there or to do whatever it is, then I can decide whether to look past that or not. I can't expect that you're going to look past it. I can hope that you do. I can try to convince you to. But I can't expect that that's just going to happen or that that's the way it should be. Now, before I close, there's another thing that I was discussing, and that was that there's only really two nations or two areas in the world that people are trying to force this immigration shit on the way that they're trying to do it. That's the United States and the United Kingdom. Those two places, right? I don't even hear so much about it being like that in Canada, but maybe it is. It could be. Like, I don't hear about all the Mexicans from Mexico trying to flood into Canada. Why the fuck I don't hear that? What does Canada not have that the United States has? I don't hear about them having this immigration problem where everybody in the world is flooding their borders. Now I'm going to look into that because maybe that is a problem that they do have and I'm just unaware of it. It could be that. That's possible. But at the end of the day, I mean, you got all these people and they're all really trying to compete for the same resources as you. And until you lock in on whatever it is, I mean, that's what that's going to be. The only people who are not competing with other people are the people who don't participate in that shit. They don't care or they remove themselves from it. So I don't give a fuck who wins any football game. I swear I don't care. Right? Now, how do they try to get you to care? Well, they include the economy. Right? They say, this is going to boost the economy. This is going to be good for business. This is going to be good for tourism. We're going to make all this money. Right? But I'm not going to make no money from that shit. If anything, what's going to happen is those baseball games and those football games, those soccer games are going to bring a bunch of people to the area that I don't got nothing to do with. And they're going to make everything more expensive because it's a bunch of motherfucking hype. They're going to make it to where you can't afford to live where you are, where you cannot dig into where you're at. Right? Because at the end of the day, that's what they do. They will show up like, oh, that grass is very green. So either what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to figure out how to make your grass not green, or I'm going to try to figure out how to make my grass greener than yours. And if I can't do either of those things, then what I have to do is try to make sure you don't have any grass. It's weirdo shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't talk to people for a reason. I don't put certain people I will talk to. A lot of people I won't. A lot of people I don't. Now, it could be someone talks to me, and as a courtesy, I'll speak back to them. And what's unfortunate about that is if I'm polite or if I'm nice or anything, really they're trying to figure me out. They're trying to figure something out, right? It's like, if this man is polite and this man is cool, he can't be a killer. He can't be a gangster. He can't have done all kind of crazy shit or whatever. Not saying that any of that applies to me, but I'm just saying, he can't be a person who will fuck me up. Right? Because he seemed kind of nice, or, you know, he didn't say nothing crazy to me, right? Or he didn't seem so very tough. And that's not an issue that I have, right? You know, even though I have Spanish blood and I'm a man, right? A male, right? I don't have a macho problem. I don't think I have a macho problem. Right? I'm still a dominant male. However, I don't have that machismo problem. Well, I have to walk around with my boots all shiny and a fucking shiny belt buckle and my fucking chest poked out like I'm fucking tough. You know what I mean? People get fucked up like that. You know what I mean? In some of these places, that's how they do. They're roosters. They act like roosters. They cock around and act like they're fucking hard till they get their heads cut off, right? And then they get barbecued. And then next thing you know, people want to make t-shirts. So anyway, in closing this recording, I will say, I mean, if you're angry about the not Julio, why do I keep doing that? That's crazy, because they always try to compare them to. If you're angry about the Cesar Chavez shit, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. If you're like, oh, it's because you cursed us, or it's because of the Martin Luther King Groy thing, and it's because you're cursing everybody, and it's because you're, yeah, probably, and still fuck you, right? Still probably you don't want no problems with me. Still probably you don't want to fuck with me like that. Especially if you know, like if you know that that's what I did, or you know that that's what I do, or you know that I have that power, if you know I'm capable of it, why would you put yourself in front of a freight train like that? Why would you fuck yourself? Why would you fuck your family? Why would you fuck your life and your livelihood by trying to cause me problems? Right? Because I know how to do what I do. I know what I'm doing. It's not, some people think, oh, it's just random. It's like he just does stuff and he just says stuff and he don't even know how he does it. But then it happens and he don't even know how it works. And it's Mickey Mouse magic. It's Mickey Mouse magic. It's the Sorcerer's Apprentice. That's what it is. I seen that cartoon, and that's what it is. I still have that scarecrow right there on my porch. He's a farm worker, Holmes. He's right there on my porch. He's fucking scarecrow. It's like, what, March already? No, April coming up. Yep, it's March. And that scarecrow will be right there on my porch. He be dancing it up, right? The wind blows, and he blows. He dances. He goes. Does what he does. And I left him there. I leave him there. I know what the fuck I'm doing. Right? I know what I said. I know what I did. In fact, if you pay attention, I know what the fuck I'm doing. So again, I don't know why you people would be trying to fuck with me, trying to bother me, trying to upset me. Most people don't do that. Most people, they get it. They understand it. They know. And they say, I'm not, no. Nah, hell nah. And, majority of people, they're like, you know what, he's pretty cool. I mean, shit, he could be the most horrible, fucking terrible king that ever lived. He could be the most terrible emperor that has ever lived in existence. But he's pretty cool. He's pretty chill. He tries not to bother people much. I mean, shit. Right? But we got you dumb motherfuckers that think y'all could fuck with me. Right? You really believe that shit. Some of y'all, you can't rap that good. He's not that good of a rapper. And his beats aren't that great. And if he was who he said he was, he wouldn't even make beats. And if he was who he thinks he is, he wouldn't even come outside, and he wouldn't take a piss, and he wouldn't eat tacos, and he wouldn't do none of what he's doing. He wouldn't drive to the gas station, and he wouldn't wear a do-rag, and he wouldn't do none of that shit. That's not the way it works. I think there are people who know that, and I'm pretty sure there are people saying, that has nothing to do with nothing. That's not what we're looking at here. It's not what we see. It's not what we're paying attention to. And you know what? Some of the people that understand this the best, some of the people that I'm telling you, that is always, most of the time, is love, and there's respect, and there's understanding. It's beautiful. But most of the time, that's Native Americans and pagans. Right? A little bit less with the pagans because they're still a bit confused. Right? They're what's called kind of sympathetic, right? When they shouldn't be. And then they're not sympathetic when they should be. And some people think that I'm pagan. That's the answer. That's what it is. Oh, shit. It couldn't be that he's the chosen one. It could not be that he's one of them Buddhas. It could not be. It's not. I don't believe in that shit, and that ain't what it is, and it couldn't be that. Couldn't be that he's Buddha. Couldn't be that he's enlightened. He's not light-skinned enough. It couldn't be that he has control of other dimensions and of other things, and that he has alliances with powers and principalities that we can't see them, and we don't know what the fuck they do. We just know that they're there, and we read stories about them, and we heard all about them, but we don't believe in it. But we do believe in it because as soon as some shit happens, we start praying to God. Some of these people got issues they don't need. Some of these Mexicans that are experiencing what they're experiencing right now, they are pedophiles. Pedophilia is part of their culture. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows you could go to Mexico and have sex with an 8-year-old. Everybody knows that. Who don't know that? Everybody knows that you could go to Mexico and buy you a little kid or something if you want one. Everybody knows you could go there and buy damn near anything. You can go there and buy a wife. Who doesn't fucking know that? However, rape and pedophilia, that's part of Mexican culture. I mean, you don't have to like it. You don't, just like drugs. I mean, that shit is part of United States culture too. So don't try to let me tell it to you like they have it, a problem that the United States doesn't have. What I'm saying is it's systemic. It's endemic. It's like the regular thing, right? In Mexican culture, girls can have sex when they're 15 years old. In Mexican culture, they have quinceañeras, and the little girl is a woman now. She wears a dress, and there is a big celebration that says, "You are an adult female." even when our laws don't apply that way. That's their culture. Then it goes far back beyond that. It's much younger than 15. Lolita culture is Lolita culture. This is a problem. It is a Lolita problem. Because of the Lolita problem, Dolores Huerta was abused. She was, and then they blame the women, right? They blame the little girls. You were dressed like a woman, and you looked like a woman, and you were acting like a woman. So you got broke down and broke in like a woman, right? But it's Lolita culture. Those girls want to be grown women when they're 4 years old. Little girls are looking up to bigger girls and grown women when they're small children. So if you see, just the other day, I saw a woman walking with her daughter down the street. This was unfortunate because they were in the street. They don't got no sidewalks here. Well, they do have sidewalks, but not in some of the areas they should be. So she was walking with her daughter down the street, and the little girl was pushing a stroller with the little baby doll in it, right? And that's normal, that's regular, but what? So she's a woman now? The little 3-year-old girl was pushing her baby in a stroller and getting ready, and she has a kitchen at her house, and she's getting ready for grown-up stuff, and so what? She's fair game? Because she's acting like a grown woman? Because she's behaving like a grown woman? Because she's sassy, right? Or because she's seen some shit she wasn't supposed to see, and so she doesn't understand it, but she's experimenting with stuff and trying to figure it out, and then some grown man uses that as a reason to say, this little girl wanted it, or this little girl came on to me, or this little girl did this, or this little girl did that. And that's why I broke the motherfucking law. That's why I did the shit that I'm not supposed to do, because I can't control my motherfucking self, right? And then when somebody ready to kill your motherfucking ass for that, then you want to talk about how God forgives everybody. God don't forgive everybody. Motherfuckers die every day. God will huff and puff and blow your whole shit to the ground. See, with me as your pastor, right? When you come to the church of the devil, Satan, Jesus, right? Pastor REY AZUL SOVEREIGN gonna tell you the truth the way you need to hear it. And at the end of the day, go ahead and drop some money in my Cash App, nigga. Go ahead and put some little money in my Cash App, nigga. Because I need your money from the Cash App donations to survive. I'm not okay. I'm not all right because of the people in the community where I live, or the country where I was born, or the decisions that I've made, or none of that shit. That ain't why I'm all right. Has nothing to do with none of that. You motherfuckers blaming the government for everything. You a child molester because of the government. Yeah, that's what it was. Because your life was hard and you was in gangs, and that's why you were having sex with 12-year-old little girls. I've seen horrible shit. I used to know people who everybody looked up to them, and them dudes were fucking pedophiles. And you know why we couldn't kick it no more? Because they was pedophiles. Because I wouldn't do what they do. They'd be like, yeah, Blue, let's go over here and let's do this, and I'm about to go pick up these hoes. And then they pull up to a fucking middle school. Oh yeah, I got one for me and I got one for you. She got a homegirl. I sent many young girls out of my face. I sent them home. I mean, one girl, she tried to tell me she was 16. I told her, you're not 16. She finally came up out of it. She was like, okay, I'm 14. I said, you know what? I hear you, but you ain't 14 neither. Little girl was 12. Her friend was 11. My homeboy had sex with her friend, and he went to prison for that. He dropped that girl off on her front porch. He fed her Thunderbird and Kool-Aid while he had all kind of crazy sex with that little girl. Damn, skeeted all over inside of her and then dropped her off on her porch. And luckily what happened was her father was sitting in the house like, where the fuck is my daughter? Waiting for her to get there. And when he dropped her off on the porch, he tried to run back to his car. And that man, when he seen his daughter, he pulled her in the door. He ran outside and saw the car pulling off and got his license plate number. He went to prison for that. He went to prison for statutory rape, use of alcohol as a rape drug, all kinds of shit. Indecent, I can't remember exactly the charges. They weren't my charges to remember, right? But he went to prison for that. And when he got there, first he was hiding his wristband. He didn't want nobody to know because he would get jumped. He would get fucked up. They'll hurt him in there, right? Until he got to the prison, right? He was scared in the jail. But once he got to the prison, he was good to go. Nobody tripped on him. It was like, why are you here? Oh, for having sex with an 11-year-old or a 12-year-old. Or she's 13 now, cuz. Right? Nothing happened to him. Right? That he wants to admit. That he'll tell anybody about. I mean, maybe something did. Right? But, he's from Long Beach, cuz. He's from Long Beach. Man, I'm from Long Beach. I'm from 20s. I'm from 2-1. I'm from 20s. Yeah, okay. That grown-ass man didn't stop messing with little girls after he got out of prison. This is gangster rap cuss. Tripping gangster cuss. Was still having sex with 14 and 15 and 16-year-old girls. And he's like 25, 27, 29. However, me and that motherfucker was never good. After a certain point, we was never good. Especially after he went to prison for doing something I told him not to do. Right? So I sent her friend home. He tried to bring the other girl for me. She was crying and shit because I wouldn't mess with her. She was like, I really like you and you're so fine and I really like you and it's okay. I promise I won't tell anybody and I'm not going to tell. And I told that girl, listen, this is crazy and I can't. I'm sorry. One day you're going to look back at this shit and you're going to thank me. You're going to be glad. I had to tell her like I'm too old for you. I could try to be delicate and gentle and I'll hurt you. Not only that, even if it wasn't that, I can't do that. That's wrong. My mother had been sexually abused and was brutal to me. Right? My great grandmother was abused by nuns in Catholic orphanages. They stuck objects inside of her and all these things. Catholic nuns did that shit to my great grandmother in Tennessee orphanages before they stole her children, right? Before Georgia Tan stole her children and sold them to wealthy people in California. I don't need to make this shit up. Like, I don't know what people think. They think like I'll be on the internet studying. You know what? Look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick Georgia Tan. And this shit happened in real life. It's right here. There's articles all about it. But this is what I'm going to choose to add to my story. Because if you go look into it, it says the whole shit right there. It's in my great grandmother's obituary. You know who called her a survivor? Nobody. You know who politicized her pain? Nobody. She lived with that shit. She worked her whole motherfucking life until she went into a old folks home, and she died with that shit. And she wasn't black. And she wasn't Hispanic. It's great that they're changing that day from Cesar Chavez Day to Farm Workers Day, because you know what? There are a lot of white people who were raped, who were fucking impoverished, who were disenfranchised, who were treated like motherfucking animals. And they were farm workers. They were indentured servants. They were sold as labor in contractual agreements. The children were sold and parceled. They live right here. Nobody talks about it. They picked cotton. Motherfucker Raggedy Ann and Andy, those are not black dolls. Those are not black children, which is why that fucking scarecrow is right where it's at in my yard. Raggedy Ann was not a slave. Little orphan Annie is Raggedy Ann. It should be Farm Workers Day. You want to know why? Because it's inclusive, you stupid, dumb motherfuckers. It includes everybody. It's not about Hispanic and Latinos who pick fucking fruit and pecans. Because really, I don't want to take away from what the fuck they suffer, but they only been going through that shit for like, what, 80 years? Then nobody made them do it. They came over here to do that shit, which is crazy to me. You're gonna run to the country with the slavery and with the fucked up laws and where they exploit people. You're gonna run over here thinking that shit ain't about to happen to you. That's like a woman that goes with a pimp and it's like, but he treats me nice. He treats me better. He ain't gonna do me like that. Bitch, he's a pimp. You are nothing but meat. What I could do is I could tell you, turn around. Don't do it. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do it. Don't come here and suffer to say you suffered. Don't come here and go through all that hell and put your kids through that shit and be fucking torn away from your kids and all that other shit, right? Don't do that to yourself. You end up in the goddamn fucking street just to say you suffered. Just to, look what I did. I suffered. The fuck out of here. You're lucky anybody listens to that shit. Because nobody listened to my grandmother, Dolores. I mean, I'm waiting to see the fucking big statue or the big thing that's like, survivors of Georgia 10. I mean, I know there was a Lifetime motion picture or something, like a Lifetime series about that shit. Because it was a scandal in the Deep South, right? But why we don't talk about it? Why are we not talking about all these white children that had no fucking shoes? Dirt all over their faces. That lived in tiny little fucking cabins and shacks and were being raped by old men. That's the problem. That's the same problem black people have. That's why I ain't fucking with it. You niggas think your pain is worse than everybody else's pain. You niggas think your suffering is worse than everybody else's suffering. I mean, when they whooped us, it was tearing meat out of our back and they was cutting our legs off and they fucking bombed entire countries with little kids with fucking napalm bombs too. Who was they? Human beings, nigga. People with jobs. So on that note, all your political shit, you can get out my face with that shit. And you could kindly suck my dick. Unless, of course, you're a male, you were born a male, you're a minor, or you're an ugly bitch with a bunch of diseases. And, you know, even if you're not a bunch of diseases, I mean, I guess I could look past the ugly, but the diseases I can't really look past. Fuck out of my face with that shit. Get the fuck away from me with that shit. You ain't paying my bills. You ain't taking care of me. Half of you motherfuckers ain't taking care of your mothers, your grandparents. Half of you have a reason not to, I'm sure. So don't think that I'm blaming you for that. Maybe your mother was a bitch. Maybe your mother didn't take care of you. Maybe your mother was abusive. Maybe there's a reason that either she kicked you the fuck out or you couldn't live under her house no more, or whatever the reason is, you left for a better life. All right? Whatever the fuck that reason is. I'm not blaming you for it. I'm not telling you you're wrong for it. I'm just telling you your pain ain't no worse than my pain. I'm telling you your family's fucking struggle, the shit your family been through, the things that the government did to you or did to your mama or did to your grandmother or whoever the fuck it is, it ain't no worse than the things that happened to me and my family and my grandmother and the whole rest of the shit. Because we all equal, right? It's equal rights. We're all equal. We're all the same. We all have to be the same. We're not the same. We know this. That's the biggest fucking lie. Even if we were all the same, we're still not all the same. So stop with the bullshit. Don't lie to me in my face and then be mad when I tell you that's bullshit. Just like, oh, I own, your house costs $40,000. You should shut the fuck up and be glad you got a roof over your head, especially at that price. And fix your house and stop with thinking I give a fuck, nigga. I've lived in houses worth many millions of dollars right now. Today, right now. And I told motherfuckers what it is. Anywhere I go, the property value's gonna go up. Most of the time. Because I'm not contributing to the shit that's keeping your property value down. Now, all these cars and shit parked in your driveway and all your dirt and all your fucking bricks and all your trash collection, nigga, that lowers the property value of the whole area. Which means them people across the street and them people over there and them people down there, their equity don't hit like it should. You think your equity's busting because you bought a rat trap. But their equity ain't busting the way it should. Which is why they don't want you there. Listen. It's all economics. If you want to play economics, we could play niggonomics too. We could play economics. I can explain to you 1,000 reasons, 1,000 ways very clearly why you should not fuck with me wrong. I don't lower the standards. I raise them. I don't lower the values. I raise them. Everywhere I go. You renting and I own. Yeah, because guess what? When I buy my house, I'm not going to pay $40,000. for my house because I have standards. In the meantime, I'm contracted with a company whose obligation is to fix shit when it needs to be fixed. You might not understand that because you was either in prison or you live with your grandma or whatever the fuck it is that make you miss that part and not understand why some people rent and some people own. Right? Could be that you own a pile of shit. Could be that Zillow says that your house is worth $100,000 and it's worth about 45 because your plumbing is fucked up, your electrical wiring's fucked up, nothing you have is going to pass the code, and Zillow don't know that. Could be a lot of things. See, when I buy my house, I plan on putting a down payment more than your house costs. The whole house to pay it off. Probably going to be less than my down payment. Not trying to rub that in. Not trying to put it in your face or nothing, but you brought it up because you're stupid. Some people say, like I said, when you moved here, you played all kind of music and you did this and you did that. And motherfucker, I also was swatted and just came out of a 10-year fucking lawsuit. And you know what? It still doesn't justify that I was disturbing my neighbors. It doesn't. That's an excuse. I was wrong for not considering that maybe they could hear that shit way down the block. But it's my culture, homeboy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how Mexico has that culture with Lolitas? You know what I'm saying? Well, like the culture I grew up in was like thugs and shit. You know what I'm saying? And the booming system. It's LL Cool J. So it's like the booming system. So I don't know how to turn it down. And I don't know how to be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Because we're loud. And we smoke loud, nigga. They keep talking about sex trafficking because little girls are being raped and molested viciously as part of a culture that exists here and in Mexico and in Asia and all over the world. That culture is called Lolita culture. A good example of Lolita culture is in a film. I enjoyed that film. It's a great film. It's a good fucking film. It's wrong, but it's a good film. It's called Interview with the Vampire. In Interview with the Vampire, there's a little girl vampire. Except she's not a little girl. But she's a little girl. But she's a vampire. So I guess in that one, she is a little girl because the vampire turned her into a vampire to save her life, right? It was a compassionate allowance. He compassionately allowed her to become a vampire. But again, she was a little girl. And she then, after how many years? I don't know, 100 or some shit. After a long time, she was a grown woman in a little girl's body. And what are we talking about? Now, again, I love Anne Rice. She's one of my favorite authors. She's one of my favorite writers. She was very talented. I was very sad to hear that she passed away. She was extremely talented. Celebrated. Who knows what her political shit was? Was it left? Was it right? Who knows? Because there's a whole lot of rich leftists. They're paid the fuck up talking that left shit, right? But they're paid. They own a bunch of property. They're good to go. So who knows what her political affiliation was really, right? We know that she cared a lot about women, but she wrote a lot about men, right? She also wrote a lot of actually homoerotic material. That includes a little girl, vampire, Lolita, dressed like a Lolita, act like a Lolita, behave like a Lolita, and when you see Cardi B and you see these little girls that want to be Cardi B when they grow up, that's called Lolita. That's a little girl who could bust it wide open. So now what is the problem really? How do you deal with the problem really? You can't identify the problem. Is the problem these men or is the problem these bitches? Is the problem the government or is the problem you motherfuckers in these neighborhoods that do a bunch of drugs and a bunch of weird shit in front of little kids acting like that shit is normal? And then when somebody fucks them, then you don't know what happened. I'm gonna leave it there. Yeah, I told you motherfucking the Pisces tried me and I got they motherfucking asses. Right, but here's the thing though. That ain't exactly what happened neither. It's not. Also, so you know, Chicanos are not Pisces. You motherfuckers, y'all are ignorant. Y'all don't seem to understand this stuff well enough. There are plenty of Latinos and Hispanics who've been here for hundreds of years under this government, and they're not affiliated with none of that other shit. They don't care about it. They hate it. They don't like it. That's why they don't live over there. That's why their parents left. Now, whoever it is left. They didn't come here just trying to get money, right? That's what you guys are saying. They didn't come here just trying to get money. They came here because of the government and because of this and because of that. That's a personal issue. And I promise not to put my personal issues on you, right? So when I was fighting against the fucking police department in San Diego, there were no parades for me. Now, people showed up. People did a lot of things. They did it quietly. It was loud too, though. It wasn't quiet. Big shit happened. Huge things happened. But you know what? It happened correctly. It happened right. It happened the way I wanted it to go. And I appreciate it. Because at the end of the day, I didn't want everybody standing out there. I didn't want everybody to jeopardize themselves. I didn't want them to destroy the community. However, when they made the decision to do so, as soon as I told them to stop, they stopped. That's the sign of a leader. A real leader is not a person who has to go out there and start some shit. I don't have to do nothing. You fuck with me, somebody's going to get at you. They're going to get you. If they can't get you because I'm too close to you, they'll wait till I'm not. And they're going to fucking get you. To protect me. To protect the king. You can have as many no kings movements and no kings marches and all that shit you want to have. You could say it ain't him, it's Martin Luther. You could say it ain't him, it's Donald Trump. You could say what you want. I don't care. Proximity is a weapon. Some people know you. You personally can't do much when somebody's right there with you. You need distance to do anything about anything, right? These are not dry threats because it's not like I have some hostility to where I want to do something to someone. Because if I want to do something to someone, A, I'll do it, and B, I mean, like, there are plenty of ways to get shit done. Many of them I don't use because other people are going to get hurt. I don't want it to be that because I don't like you, then everybody right here burns. Or because I don't like you, then the weather goes bad for all these little kids and all these other people right here. That's not a good way to be. That's not a way to want things to be. I'm going to say, well, just direct it. Just be very direct. Just show us. Let's see it. It's not something that I need to do. I don't have to make an ass of you when you make an ass of your motherfucking self. I mean, shit. If anything, I don't feel bad for you, but you're a piece of shit. And everybody sees it and everybody knows it. Why? Well, because you lower the fucking property value, Holmes. You're fucking selfish. You're weird. And it's not just because you're black. Could be that's part of it. But hopefully it isn't. But if it is, then, that's part of life. People suffer because they're white. People suffer because they're Spanish. And Asians, they're real quiet about what they suffer. Asians tend to suffer very quietly. And that's scary. Because Asians have a rape culture and a Lolita culture problem too. Anyway, going to close it on that note. Right? I posted some things about the Spice Girls the other day, and somebody was like, "What are you doing? What are you listening to?" I didn't know you listened to the Spice Girls, and it wasn't that I was trying to listen to the Spice Girls. It's that I was thinking about Lolita culture and Lolitas and how this stuff happens. All right, so we're all watching Britney Spears flam the fuck out, and you don't believe that she was raped. You don't believe she was tortured. You don't believe she was sold and exploited, and you think that these celebrities don't have to have sex to survive. You think that they're not getting paid by dignitaries and by very wealthy men to spend the night. Because you don't know enough about Marilyn Monroe. She's a very famous woman. Very prolific figure. She was also a prostitute. I'm not going to call her a harlot. I'm going to call it what it was. She was a prostitute. And once that got to a certain point and to a certain level, they had to shut her up